Hey, good morning.
Good morning. Hey, Jenny.
Hey, so I just wanted us to meet today to talk about why we started our brokerages. But before we get started about that, I wanted to introduce you and myself. My name is Jenny Shaneyfelt, and I am the owner and qualifying broker for Redbridge Real Estate here in Huntsville, Alabama. And this is my sister, who,
Hello.
yes, who lives in Charleston. And I'll let you introduce yourself.
Yeah, Addie Jane Lynn. I am, we call it the broker in charge in Charleston, South Carolina. My husband and I co-own our own brokerage here in Charleston. And, Jane and I both, we grew up in the industry. Mom was a realtor since she was 19, and dad was multi-generational home builder and commercial builder. I just say I grew up
Word
in
winning.
award winning. Yeah. And our family has built historical places in Huntsville, Alabama, and I'm now in Charleston because this is kind of the area my husband's from. But definitely grew up in the business, and we connect on the fact that we own our own brokerages. So
Yes, and what's cool is that she's in Charleston, which is a dramatically growing city, which everybody I think in the United States knows that, but not a lot of people know about Huntsville. And Huntsville is growing at a very rapid pace too. So both of us have those things in common, but we're also not competitors because we're in completely different markets. Not that we
yes,
would be big competitors if she lived here, but it's cool because we can compare markets and compare strategies that we're using in the different markets. And
that's right.
um,
hmm Well, for example, Jenny, you in Huntsville, you have the coming soon feature, and y'all have had that forever. And I've been wishing and hoping that we would have that in Charleston because it gives you the advantage. Plus, if you have buyers, you have an edge above Zillow and Realtor.com because Zillow and Realtor.com don't show coming soon. And I've just been hoping and praying for and asking our market to do that, our MLS. And we just got it like a month ago. And I was the very first person. I mean, we have like 8,000 realtors, and I
okay.
was the very first person to use coming soon. So it's that kind of
Hey,
thing
that's
that
cool.
gives us I know, and strategy. It really helped. Gives you an edge. So
Now,
really,
just to forewarn you, there was some big commotion when Coming Soon came out here. And we'll save that for another day, but because we're talking about brokerages today. But yeah, there was some serious commotion going on. We had to change the rules like 10 times. But yeah, because people were
yeah, they're still working out kinks here too.
so, anyways, but so today I wanted to talk about why we started our brokerages and why it was so important to us. And obviously, with our background in real estate, that has encouraged us both to become realtors. And I
Mhm.
have a background in education, which encourages me to also teach. So I have a master's degree in elementary education and special education. So feel like I'm a natural teacher and I am constantly
Sure.
trying to teach people. So it kind of pushed me into the qualifying broker position, anyways. But before that, when I started, I immediately started having a draw to pull me towards um, starting my own brokerage. And there's lots of reasons for that. And I'm going to give Addie an opportunity to talk about, first of all, why she did the same thing.
Mhm.
So, Addie, why did you want to start your own brokerage?
Yeah, I think the biggest driver was we were working for another company, and we had friends call us all the time because we've been in the business a while, Ryan and I, and they'd call us, how do I do this? How do I do that? And we realized that we are in an industry where a lot of agents are sitting ducks and they don't have a mentor to call and help them with basic stuff, just like contract stuff. And that's just not going to work. That was our biggest driver. But also, we just really wanted to model something that is for the agent, for the realtor. We want them to grow their business and not necessarily be about me growing my income database.
Mhm.
And, one of the big things is a big company here. And we're familiar with it as worked with them before. They do a team type of model, but every listing is pushed through that one team leader's name. So all the agents don't really get credit. If they want to show how many listings they've sold in the last 3 years. They're not even in there. And then all the different like fees and everything. We wanted it very streamlined and modeled. And I know Jenny and I probably have different business models and different plans and mission statements, but I think there are some points like that, the overwhelming you with fees part, we agree on. We're trying to avoid that in our brokerages.
Right. And me too. I think that I thought all those things went through my head when I was deciding to create my own brokerage too. And I felt dishonest in the way that things were happening. And I felt like I wanted to make the industry have more integrity. Like, for example, like, did you know, and I don't know if you knew this or not, but did you know that there's like top 10 hated professions in our society, and realtor is the number one? Did you know?
Oh, all right.
Did you know that?
I didn't know that.
Okay, so that just goes to show how many crooked agents there are out there, and there are so many wonderful agents. Many I admire and look toward. I'm always volunteering for these positions at MLS because I want to rub shoulders with really great people and learn from them. But yeah, so there are a lot of great people out there too. But the ugly people get heard, or have, I guess, speak louder to the general public than people who are honest in what they're doing. And so, I started out working for these big corporations.
I would say that gives you a more advantage, or just our stories are a little different, because I never worked for a big name brand company. I always worked for smaller guys.
But I think
and we had a picture of that.
I'm sorry, what did you say?
Oh, and that gave you a different picture of what it's like to be under like a franchise or big names or.
Yeah, and I think through the process, I think you and I talked a lot about it, like the differences in our experiences as we were growing as agents. But yeah, like when I was starting out with big companies, I was first of all very impressed with the brand, and ooh, this is me. I get to wear this brand and I'm so cool. And oh, these big billionaire people own the company and I get to be a part of that. And they have these big, huge parties every year. And I was taken in like completely hook, line, and sinker. And, but as I started to sell property and make money and start making money, I realized that a huge chunk of my paycheck was being sent off to someone to buy their next yacht. I'm serious. And I just thought, I grew up in this town. My parents were both entrepreneurs and I can do this. And the more I spent time in learning and educating myself on how to use the MLS and how to use different tools, I realized that the tools that the MLS had were actually better than the tools that I was paying for. And then not only but the MLS, I pay one fee a year, which is a very minimal fee. And then with these big giant corporation brokerages, I was paying money for these tools on top of what I was already paying them. And it was very expensive. I mean, I was paying like $4 a postcard to send stuff to people. And I was just like, and then when I compared the prices to my local company, I could just put that name brand on top of something and send it off to a local company to print, and they would do it so much cheaper. And so I started realizing that this was just a gimmick for somebody up top to make money. And it bothered me really bad because I'm like, look at all these agents. And it wasn't even the local people, the local brokerage who was making money. It was the big top people, because they were like, oh, you can buy jackets and you can buy this and you can buy this. And and guess what? We're going to train you. But little did they tell me that they were going to train me. But then once I joined the brokerage, they were like, oh, it's $1,000 for the class. I was like, what? I mean, I'm already giving you 8% of my paycheck. And now you want me to pay $1,000 for a class?
Yeah. And you could probably teach the class. And there's so many resources now where honestly, a lot of what you learned in that class, you could have found on YouTube. And so that's a big driver for us, is teaching our realtors how to be successful in this business, but also not just, you know, get the pretty lights and colors that's, you know, pay for something that you don't have to pay for.
Yes. And I learned most of my things from classes at my MLS, or
That's true. A
actually,
lot.
I have taken a lot of classes from like the Alabama Association of Realtors and stuff, and I learned way more from them than I ever did in any of these big top brokerages classes, you know? And because it's so expensive to fly those people here from Kalamazoo and to teach all of us in a class when we have, you know, we have an association that pays for all that. So it started making me realize that we're paying a lot of money that's not necessary. And so, and with that, I felt like there was a loss of integrity in there towards not only the consumer, but the realtor too. I mean, our customers, our realtors are paying all this money, and they're just thinking, oh, I have to be with a big top brokerage in order to sell real estate and do well. And that's just not true. It's just not true. And so they're
those big top brokerages, like in our case, you know, we worked for smaller companies, but our friends and other realtor friends who worked for other companies, they worked for those big top companies, and their broker wouldn't answer the phone. So it's, you know, Friday night, and they're doing their first contract, and they're calling me, who worked for a different company. It was back when I was just a realtor and not a broker. And, you know, and I'm thinking, yeah, so what really did these big companies get you?
Mm-hmm. And that's so true. And and when you have 100 agents underneath you as a broker, there's just no way you can get to all of them. But you know, I would also go to these brokerage classes, and the classes would teach you how to do a presentation for a listing, and they would teach you, oh, you need to buy this specific box and put all of your presentation stuff inside this box with tissue paper, and then put some wax paper on it. And then when you go into the listing presentation, you unveil this beautiful box, and your customers are so impressed. And I just thought, the more bougie stuff they added on top of my listing presentation, the more dishonest I felt. I just felt like I want to have high quality materials, and I want to have high quality service for my customer, but I don't want to try to, what's the word I'm looking for? Like,
yeah, I know what you're saying. Yeah,
like try to like fake them into believing that I'm good. You know, like I want to earn that.
Your quality as a realtor is not in how pretty your presentation is.
Yeah.
Your quality as a realtor is a whole lot more substantial character points.
Yeah. Like, I mean, I understand how to teach my customers, and I want to make sure that they understand every single thing that we're going to do, and I explain it in a way that they can understand. And, you know, I think that comes to my background in education, and I want, and I try to make sure that everything I do is high quality materials and high quality stuff. My sign is beautiful. My, you know, I hired a graphic artist, and your stuff is beautiful too. Do you have anything with your stuff on it? It's so gorgeous.
Let me just grab my sign just a second. Oh, will it show? Oh, shoot.
Oh, it's not showing.
Hold on.
Anyway,
show you my ugly. Okay. Another time. Go Google me.
My husband is working in the background, so she was trying to keep the focus on her.
Yeah. Just Google King Tide Real Estate. But that was a local guy. Our graphics, well, we had like a, you know, treating the local businesses. And I think, Jenny, you and I probably connect on that because mom and dad were entrepreneurs and own their own business. They're the little guys. And, you know, even dad being a builder, he was the local custom builder that, you know, people knew him by name if you were from Huntsville. But there's a lot of big builders now. But anyways, so we got a local marketing gal that lives in Charleston. And then that local marketing gal got us a graphic designer guy who built our logo and everything. And supporting the small business is important to us. And we try to support small business. We got a small business person who does our signs, and
No more supporting those yachts, right?
well,
Yeah.
good
So,
for them for being so smart in
yes.
in capitalism that they made big businesses. But
Yes.
I'm still trying to keep the little guy alive for sure.
Yes. Well, I know I had a realtor yesterday tell me, we were talking about how all the not local brands are coming out on top, like they're selling the most. And you have to call your realtor on the phone, like you never get to meet them in person. And we were just talking about how we're going to compete with that, and I was just telling her, well, most people love local. They want to speak to the person eye to eye, and if they want to call their realtor, they want somebody to be there and to answer the phone immediately, not have to sit through a press one if you would like to speak to such and such, press two. And she said to me, well, I don't think that those big top guys will ever put us out of business. And turned around and told her, I said, have you ever shopped at Big Brother's grocery store?
Okay.
And she said, Big Brother's, where's that? What's that? No, I've never shopped there. And I said, you know why you've never shopped there? Because Walmart put them out of business.
Mm-hmm.
And she was surprised because, I grew up in Huntsville, and Addie Jane knows where Big Brothers was, because Big Brothers was the grocery store that our grandmother shopped at. And everybody who is a native to Huntsville knows where Big Brothers was and knows exactly what I'm talking about, because it went out of business along with all the other mom and pop grocery stores. And, that couldn't.
Star Market, it's still there, right?
What?
Star Market's still there, right?
Yes, Star Market is still there. So it's still surviving. So that's good.
Keep them alive, Huntsville.
Do what?
I was saying, keep them alive, Huntsville.
Yes, we have to keep all the little guys alive, because and here's the really big reason why it scares me, Addie Jane. And I had a couple of my listings be sold to this one seller or one buyer who was way out of town. Not going to mention any names, but they were a good 3 hours from here. And I've had 2 of my listings so far be sold to this one company. And when I spoke to the inspector, he said, yeah, I work directly for this company and no one else. And he said, we buy 4 houses a day in Huntsville alone. That's not to say how many houses today sell or buy in other
Right.
cities. And what bothers me about that is what happens when they buy up all the houses, because they're buying with cash. I mean, when they sent me a proof of funds, their account said $20 million. So proof of funds, what they're buying everything with cash, so nobody can compete with that. So we're talking about first-time home buyers trying to buy a house, and they're going to compete with someone who has cash and no contingencies. There's no contingencies because they have their own inspector who inspects all the houses. They go in, they remodel the whole house, and then they rent it. And the guy was like, well, yeah, we do 4 houses a day. So tell me something, what happens when all of the houses are bought up by these people who nobody else can compete with?
So everyone has to rent.
Everyone has to rent.
Yeah.
No one gets to buy anymore.
Supporting local on several levels is kind of what you're saying. So we're talking about our brokerages, we're talking about our realtors, and we're talking about the consumer. Like, it trickles down. So
yes,
supporting local small businesses.
So I mean, and if we don't do our best to try to support those who are in our immediate community, then eventually we will all be looking towards national brands to help us with stuff. And let me tell you a story yesterday. So I have always wanted to use everything. I use local insurance companies. I use local people to do all my signs and all my graphic stuff. But I have had this one bank for my entire life as an adult. And it was a national brand. Well, I have struggled so bad with them over the past month or so. Well, this past week, they transferred banks, like it sold to another bank. And Addie, I went to the local branch and I'm like, I need help. I cannot get into any of my accounts since y'all made the switch. I cannot get into my accounts. My customers need their paychecks and they're not in yet. And I just want to sit on the floor and cry. And they were like, I'm sorry, you'll have to call the 1-800 number because nobody here in our branch can help you. That nobody's been trained to do anything because they won't allow us to have any access to anything and I'm just like, are you serious?
Yeah.
And so I spend 3 hours Friday on the phone, 3 hours Monday on the phone, and still nobody can help me. Every person that I get to, they're like, oh, try this, try this, try this, try this. And we're on the phone, and that's frustrating in itself because there's a lack of communication there. They say 80% of your communication is visual, with each other. And so you're on the phone, you're trying to communicate. And a lot of times there are people who have a thick accent, and nothing against anyone who speaks broken English. I think that's wonderful for people to speak multiple languages. But a lot of times it's very difficult to understand them over the phone. And that makes things all the more frustrating. And so anyway, so I just wanted to cry. So I just decided to pick up all of my stuff, all of my everything, and go to a local bank because I want to be able to walk into my bank and the person behind the counter be able to get into my accounts and be able to help me with whatever my needs are.
Well, that's a good point, Jenny, because we're not just saying support local because it's good to support local and we want the locals to win. The quality of a small company is often greater. I know you got the bells and whistles with a lot of big companies, but honestly, I'm developing bells and whistles too. I mean, like you said, my graphics and stuff, and our King Tide presentation folder is not.
Oh, look, you can see it there when you put it.
Oh, okay, good. It's not slouchy. I've gotten compliments on it, but anyways. But the quality for a local person who is there with you is often greater too. It's really important to us to be, start to finish with our customers. You're not going to be passed around to 5 different closers and this guy's marketing person and blah, 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 blah. But most of the time, if I can, I'll show up to the photography to make sure that trash can is not showing in the picture. And whatnot, because photographers, they do have a vision for that and they can get trained for that too, but just the hands-on the whole time to make sure that what my customer's vision is lined up throughout the process.
And what their concerns are, they feel comfortable talking to me about because they know me and they've seen me in person, they've talked to me over the phone. It's like one of my customers told me that she felt very uncomfortable with anyone being in the house when her dogs are there because she's afraid that her dogs might hurt someone. And, I told her, well, when your dogs are not there, we're going to make sure nobody's there. And because I want to make sure you feel comfortable. And, if it were a national brand, you may not ever be able to talk to that person to be able to get to that concern. You know what I mean? That's what I mean. A national brand doesn't understand what our local concerns are, what the small concerns are. And you're not going to feel comfortable explaining to them what it is that you feel uncomfortable with. And then that person be able to solve the problem, So since I'm there, I can solve the problem and I can help out and try to brainstorm to try to fix things to help people feel more comfortable about one of the most stressful processes that we as adults do is buying or selling their house.
Yeah. And we're able to adapt. So a lot of the, as far as the brokerage goes, when you work with a franchise, you have to stick to their process and their system. But when we're able to have the control as a local small business, and that was a big part of it too for me and Ryan, is having the control of how we're going to be spending our marketing, how we're going to be pushing things on. And like you said, adapt. So, some MLSs have coming soon, but some MLSs don't. And, for us, we had, I don't think we could do a one size fits all. And I mean, obviously real realtors, local realtors work for even the big franchises. We know that. But it's the part where even the brokerage doesn't have as much control when they have to stick to a certain system. They can't adapt as easy.
Right. Right. And I agree with you. We are better able to figure things out to help our customers better and communicate in that way. So tell me, just to end us off here, what the name of your company is and why you named it that, and do you have a motto or anything like that?
Yeah. Okay. So it's King Tide Real Estate, and in Charleston, we're on the coast, so there's high tide, low tide, but then there's king tide, which is the highest tide that comes in, which often happens in a full moon or a storm or whatnot. And, we're kind of coastal little ocean people. So we went with more of a coastal type name. I don't know about a motto, but you can find us at kingtiderealestate.com or follow me on Instagram, Addie Jane Lynn Broker _broker. And we're also on Facebook. Easy to find us.
Okay, great. Well, I wanted to say a little bit about Red Bridge, and Addie Jane, because she is from Huntsville, knows exactly where the Red Bridge is, as it do most native Huntsvillians. It's in Big Spring Park in downtown Huntsville, and the park was the Huntsville is called the Rocket City, and the reason why it's called the Rocket City is because we have a lot of rocket scientists who live here. We're one of the smartest cities in the nation as PhDs per capita, but we actually had some military from Japan come here to learn about rockets, and way back when, and he was so impressed with Huntsville's hospitality that he decided to donate the bridge and as a gift to Huntsville for their hospitality. And because of all the things that I've said about wanting to help the integrity of real estate and help realtors and consumers, I did adopt a motto, and that motto is from the Bible. It's Romans 15:1-2, and it says, "Those of us who are strong and able in the faith need to step in and lend a hand to those who are not, and not just do what is convenient for us. Strength is for service, not status. Each one of us needs to look after the good of the people around us, asking ourselves, how can I help?" And that motto kind of leads in everything that we do, not only for the consumer, or the buyer and sellers, but also for the real estate agents who come in to make sure that that we help them become profitable agents and not just nickel and dime them to make a profit for ourselves. So, and I think you feel the same way, don't you?
Yeah, I agree.
So anyway, so I guess I'll end today. Do you want to summarize everything we talked about?
Oh, well, I mean, the big points were that Jeannie and I got into real estate to help people, and we did our own brokerages. We're running our own brokerages because we like the small business model of adapting and able to help the consumer, both consumer agents and consumer buyers and sellers. And yeah, that's why we're here.
Yeah, that's great.
Cool. Thanks, Jenny.
Thank you. And I hope you have a wonderful day, Sissy.
You do. Bye.